know, sometimes a brand, they'll put out a device and they'll kind of claim that you're getting it all for less. And rarely is that actually true. But with the Galaxy S20 Fan Edition, it kind of feels that way. You're giving up so little, and in some cases actually improving certain specifications, except you're saving a bunch of money from the regular flagship device. It's hard to even call it mid-range because it's got a Snapdragon 865 in it. It has almost an identical spec list to the regular flagship S20, and it's almost half the cost. When they first announced it, they were saying, okay, it's gonna be $699. Like a day later, I'm seeing Amazon, other places were already dropping another 100 from it. Right now, you can find this for $599, which really, the Snapdragon 865 and Galaxy S20 internals, it seems kind of hard to even buy a regular S20 right now. My understanding is that the materials are a little bit different in the construction. Here is the device. Actually, you know what? But it has that plastic back. Now, I was a little critical of this matte finish plastic back on the Note series devices. However, those were far more expensive. You weren't catching much of a deal on those phones. Here, on the other hand, now that we're down to this price point, it's something I think I can accept. Now, I kind of like this color as well. You know, you get this darkish, bluish. It almost reminds me of Willy Blue. That's Willy Doo's Midnight Blue version of the later case. It's a similar tone to it. Now, you are going to lose a couple of capabilities in the camera department. You're not going to shoot 8K video. You're not going to have you're not going to have 100 times space zoom, but you are going to have telephoto functionality, and you're going to have the important stuff you would come to expect inside of an S20 smartphone, just for less money. We have our volume rocker over here, as well as the power switch, camera module in the back. It's not even a huge hump. Bottom of the device, you have your USB Type-C port, as well as a speaker. Top of the device showcases your SIM card tray, also capable of expandable storage. So a little versatility up to 1 terabyte. There's a giant protector on the screen. That baby's gonna get removed too. You can see you still get the tiny little hole punch Infinity O style front-facing camera. Yes, it's gonna have an OLED display, AMOLED like the rest of the lineup, but when compared to the standard S20, it's a slightly lower pixel density. One advantage this even has over the regular S20, which is at a higher price point, this has a bigger battery. So this is a 4,500 milliamp hour battery compared to a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. Kind of a no frills unboxing. We do have an adaptive fast charge power brick, and we have a Type-C cable to get it all connected, and that's pretty much it. Look, it's the Fan Edition. Oh, there is a little box on the top with a SIM card tool, but I think that's it. I don't think there's a case or anything else. No, that's it. No frills. Now, I've been really adjusting to the Samsung interface to the One UI for a while now. I was on the S20 Ultra, and I switched to the OnePlus device for a while. The most recent Note series, the Ultra model. My SIM card is currently inside of the Z Fold 2. Oh, and also, you may have thought they could have skimped on the refresh rate since you're getting a better deal, but this display actually supports 120 hertz. Let's go take a look. Standard would put it at 60 hertz for presumably slightly better battery life, and high moves you up to the 120 hertz scroll rate, which, if you haven't experienced it before, you may have heard me talk about it before. This is, it really enhances your experience with the device. When you pair it with something like a Snapdragon 865, it just creates a very fluid experience in the OS, moving through menus, and so on. Now, they're not created completely equal. You're giving up a little bit of RAM, and that might be the most significant drawback going with the Fan Edition versus the flagship level S20. You are dropping down from 12 gigs or 8 gigs of RAM, depending on which version you would choose, to 6 gigs of RAM in this model right here. And as you can see, I mean, that's a tiny little hole punch on video, especially for, look at it there. Even against a light backdrop, it is a tiny little hole punch. Against the dark backdrop, you hardly see it. So that's a nice implementation. If I go ahead and boost the volume, let's see what we're working with.
A request by pigeon.
Oh,
Carrier pigeon.
the old school way?
Yeah, they still didn't.
So it is, it's firing out of both locations, from the bottom region and up around the earpiece, which is hardly even there. So that's kind of nice. Is that the screen type of setup? It's buried in there. PlayStation 5 controller, Will? Travis Scott. But it does give you, it's a pretty nice, I don't think they skimped on it too much. I'm satisfied. I'm okay with that. Now, if I launch into the camera, you can see I still have camera versatility. I don't have the same reach on the zoom, but how often were you using that? This is your standard focal range. Photo, bang, and we move into the zoom, a 3x. Now there's other settings for the hybrid zoom and all that, up to 30x, but let's use the 3x for the purpose of this. And we can go all the way back to 0.5 for the ultra wide. I think it's enough versatility for the average person. Plus, these S20 devices have been great performers in the camera department, and they've seen continued improvements through software. Now, if I switch over to the selfie camera, I can go ahead and do a little selfie test real quick. I just gotta turn off the beauty. I need the original. I can't be having the beauty mode on there, as you know. Beard hair test, it passes. We have plenty of resolution. What is the resolution? It's a 32 megapixel front-facing camera. Interestingly enough, that's more megapixels than the standard S20. You gotta go all the way to the Ultra model to beat that with a 40 megapixel shooter. That's kind of, I mean, this is a weird phone. It's hard to figure out. It has a bigger screen than the regular S20. It has a bigger battery than the regular S20. It's almost half the price of the regular S20. I get it, it's plastic, but I feel like I can live with that when I get the cost savings. I was mad about it with the Note, as you know, but when I get the cost savings, I think I can live with it. Face recognition and fingerprints. Now, it's an optical-based face unlock system. Well, I've tricked some of these in the past, but tremendous speed. I'm gonna go ahead and register my fingerprint. The fingerprint is added. We'll give it a quick test. Yes, functions as expected. In-display's gotten a lot better. It's kind of funny to see some manufacturers going back to a capacitive rear scanner, like the new Pixel devices that we saw today. There's a rumor that the upcoming Apple devices could potentially have fingerprint back, Touch ID in the power button. So many different implementations. One of the advantages of being in display, you can use it even when it's on the table. You see, that may or may not be important to you. Snapdragon 865, it means tremendous prowess when it comes to processor-intensive tasks, including gaming. So I'm gonna go ahead and launch a game real quick and just showcase what this thing's capable of. I know a lot of people out there, they want the top level chip, but they don't want to pay the top level money. You don't want to pay $1,000 for a smartphone. That's reasonable. Here's a way you can do it. Look at this.
So if you drive and then swipe up, you can dunk it.
I'm fine with the layup. I'm fine. I'll take the 2 points. All right, cool. So yes, of course you can game on it, whatever games your style, whether it's basketball or you want to do a shooter or something like that. Plus, more and more games are supporting the fast refresh, and I talked about this in recent videos. Having that 120, once you see a game at it, or even 90 or something above 60, it has this extra twitchiness to it, which can really enhance the experience. Wow, what a device. I mean, what can you say? It's an S20, sort of rehoused and trimmed back a little bit, but then also improved in other areas. If you want a big battery performer, 4,500 milliamp hours, you want a flagship chip. You don't, just because you're spending a little less money doesn't mean you don't want a Snapdragon 865. Okay, it's in there. You want Galaxy S20 caliber cameras. Oh yeah, that's in there as well. You want the versatility of expandable storage. That's in there as well. You got fast charging. It's in there. Yeah, you got to put up with the plastic chassis. Okay, fine. You saved a bunch of money. This one, you pop this out the pocket, and your pal has the regular S20. I believe Willie Doo's using it right now. And he's sitting there saying, you got the plastic phone. You say, yeah, I got the plastic phone, but I got a spare 500 bucks. You don't. And then you pull the 500 bucks out of your pocket, and Willie Doo's very upset. So look, if you got to trim it back, you trim it back, but you pass the savings on to the customer. And they definitely did that here, and it's probably why they call it the Fan Edition. Well done, Samsung. I mean, like I said, look, you got $500, $600, $700 to spend on a smartphone right now. It's a good time for you.